Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'd like to start the meeting. Roll call. Ms. Burns, please.
Mr. Parentano?
Present.
Mr. Allen?
Present.
Mrs. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Boyle?
Here.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Here.
Mr. Kovitz is absent with prior notice. Mr. Marrington?
Here.
Mr. Cirillo?
Here.
And Mr. Sullivan is also absent with prior notice. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters of employment, issues related to labor relations, and matters related to school safety and security. Our district mission statement: the Neshaminy community builds futures by empowering each child to become a productive citizen and a lifelong learner. Do we have any announcements?
No announcements.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Mr. Jones, Superintendent's Report.
Good evening, everyone. A couple of things in the superintendent's report for this meeting include a reminder that each first meeting of the month at this public work session, we display a new school's artwork. And so this month, we welcome Ms. Todd's work from Albert Schweitzer Elementary School. There's a whole array of different art pieces from kindergarten through fourth grade that continue to impress us in terms of just the variety, the depth of the content that's being studied in an art class, a really important content for us here at Neshaminy School District, and it starts at our elementary school. So congratulations to those students and to Ms. Todd. Also at the public work session, we included an enrollment report that's attached to my report. It does give a breakdown of the school district enrollment across the school buildings. Neshaminy was a winner of one of the recipient, I guess I should say. It wasn't much of a competition, but there was opportunity for us to apply for and receive a safety grant funding from the state. This year, it was a $45,000 amount that school districts were able to secure if they make that application. I thank Mr. Meehan and those who worked with him for that application, and we're going to be able to increase our funding for school safety matters across the district with that. Gym night, a great event. Congratulations to the high school. I know I was there Friday night, and Red seemed to be doing really well, and surprisingly, by the time it was over, our blue team came up 38-35. Close weekend. Good job. Reading Across America in our elementary schools. A number of us were invited to one of our elementary schools to read, but there was reading across the entire school district, and a good practice to just emphasize and spotlight a real important skill for our students at those elementary grades. Congratulations to Pequessens in the house. Pequessing Middle School recently was out with their choir at Rochester, New York, because they were invited to be part of the district of the American Choral Directors Association's Northeast Conference, one of the schools to perform really special and not surprising. Jason Lee does a great job with our students, and the Pequessing Choir is one of those groups that just continues to attract more and more kids because they just know the good work that happens there, and they continue to just excel. So congratulations. Our high school jazz band went down to Temple University. It is good to be able to avail ourselves of a close resource like that, and so they were able, while there, be involved in a festival, and there was a chance for a band to perform and to work with the composers there at Temple and receive feedback, professional feedback. That was great for our students. Science fairs are happening at our elementary school, and they will culminate in our STEAM Expo Wednesday, April 1st, 6:30 at the high school. Mark that date on your calendar because that is a great day for the district to bring together students from across the district. Our high school's students, our high school teachers participate, but really it's across the district focusing on our STEAM program. And the only other thing I want to talk about a little bit, I just want to take a moment to talk about today's closure at the high school. We were informed about a matter that, if you're following the news, it's not too surprising to think that schools are going to be impacted just because of the spread of the virus and the concerns with the coronavirus. And so Our high school was the first case where we had information from the public health sector that we had a student who had had contact. And so we really had protocol that already has been in place. The district superintendents from across Bucks County have done a nice job of staying in contact with the Bucks County Department of Health, with the emergency management in Bucks County in advance of an event like this happening here at Neshaminy. Those lines of communication have been open. We've been meeting face-to-face, including hospital networks here in Bucks County, including the colleges, including some private schools as well. In addition to that, there was also some experience from Central Bucks, just from, unfortunately, last week, a similar type of a situation. I do want to go on record to say this. First of all, I want to thank our custodial and operations crew who participated in helping make sure that that building is ready to receive students tomorrow. High school building is a really large, complicated building. To take care of a situation like this and just make sure that the space is safe, clean, and ready to receive students and staff, phenomenal. I was in the building midday. It looks like it's the start of school in terms of just the way the building looks and is ready for students. So that was good. What I do want to say is this, I want to say that the Department of Health actually felt like our circumstance, and each one of these is going to be unique and different, that our circumstance provided us opportunity to actually come in today regular time with students. The cleaning that would have had to take place, that the Department of Health felt would be necessary and sufficient and appropriate, would be something that a district like ours could probably address and do, and we felt that we had some comfort in being able to do that and open up on time. You know, those of you who've been following this, though, is that we were one of a number of schools that had that same kind of impact from a singular event. And so just from a community standpoint, we chose that probably closing was the better decision. We do believe today that that was still the better decision. I actually communicated probably with a dozen plus or minus people today, and I felt that people felt good and comfortable about that decision. I am only saying publicly that the next event might be a different choice, that listening to the Department of Health, using their guidance to help, using the experiences from today, the lessons learned with respect to the cleaning, that we may be able to do something different the next time in terms of whether or not the program needs to be interrupted or whether we can get right back into the school day after some intensive cleaning. We have ramped up the cleaning across the district, both facilities and our transportation. So we are doing certainly much more than in the past, and we feel good about that. I again want to thank our custodial and operations crew, and I appreciate the support of the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. This brings us to our additional reports. This semi-annual report's available from our Director of Pupil Services, Mr. Anthony Devlin. His report can be found on board docs for your review. Tonight we have a presentation from Pequessing Middle Schools, represented here today, Principal Joanne Holland. Mr. Jones, could you take over, please?
There's a little blurb in the report, but I think it's best for the teachers and the principal here and the students to describe a little bit of what they're going to share with you. This, I will say, for our public who are in attendance, and the number of you have been here to see this happen. Last year, we've had our elementary schools, all 6 of them, come at different board meetings and present some spotlights of good things that are happening in their school buildings. This year, it's the secondary schools. I think you may be our last of the 4. And so thank you, Ms. Holland, for being here, Principal Holland, and if you can introduce the crowd who's with you and the topic that you're going to focus on.
Okay, great. Good evening, school board and cabinet members. Thank you very much for having Pequessing. So as Mr. Jones says, I will introduce myself again, Joanne Holland, principal, and it really is a pleasure. With me this evening, I have members of our Pequessing team, teachers, and I have Mr. Hunt, our assistant principal, as well as 8 students. They are representative of the 5th through 8th grade, 2 in each grade. So this evening tonight, our goal really is to share with you Nearpod. And what is Nearpod? Nearpod is a learning platform, and we are utilizing it in the district K through 12, so all grades. And it's designed to be used with one-to-one technology, so it fits perfectly here in our district. We believe that this is uniquely engaging for students. It's an interactive learning experience because it provides students with choice It absolutely increases their engagement. Our teachers can view, as you'll see this evening, student answers. Students can view their answers, other children's answers, if the teacher permits it. Teachers can view the class. They can get immediate feedback, give immediate feedback to children. They can also collect data on what's happening. And then with that data, the teachers can decide immediately on the spot whether to change their learning, their course of learning and teaching. Nearpod also provides an opportunity for reinforcement at other times. In addition, what I find is that through my walkthroughs and even in talking with kids, it energizes the classroom at a level that I have not seen with devices. So we've had devices in the classroom, and that's brought a whole new level. But the level of energy now is really quite exciting. And that's because there are rigorous but fun learning games involved and a lot of collaboration. There's excitement. And the other thing that I have found with Nearpod is really teacher buy-in. We have seen our teachers embrace this. We haven't had to have any kind of a push. It's just been really, really extremely positive. So, and it's stemming from an initiative, an educational initiative that I believe is really taking off K through 12. So I've told you just a little bit about Nearpod, a learning platform. It's working with our one-to-one devices, and I've made some endorsements for it because I'm a believer in it. But really, what is it? And you're going to experience that this evening.
There's a video over there. I apologize.
We're going to have to refresh. Here? Okay.
Winning EdTech tool trusted by millions of teachers and used by tens of thousands of schools and districts. Nearpod is a platform that easily allows teachers to create, download, and teach interactive lessons across all student devices, including Chromebooks, iPads, iPhones, and Android devices, and works on any operating system or browser. Nearpod works seamlessly with Google Classroom and integrates with learning management systems like Canvas and Schoology. Teachers can easily upload their existing PowerPoints, PDFs, Google Slides, and Sways and convert them into interactive Nearpod lessons by including engaging activities like quizzes, polls, draw-its, open-ended questions, fill-in-the-blanks, and 3D objects. And with Nearpod VR, teachers can take their students on a virtual field trip anywhere in the world. Nearpod VR works on any device, with or without headsets. Imagine taking students to the Taj Mahal, the Pyramids of Giza, the Washington Monument, or the Great Wall of China, all from the comfort of your classroom. Teachers launch a live lesson, students enter a lesson code, and the lesson is synced to all student devices. Teachers can also launch student-paced lessons, which allow students to complete a lesson on their own time wherever they are. Teachers get real-time feedback on student understanding and can access post-lesson reports to assess individual and class performance. Nearpod also has a library of thousands of ready-to-teach, standards-aligned K-12 lessons.
That will provide you an overview so you understand where we're headed. I'm going to introduce Mr. Hunt, Assistant Principal, and he'll bring you all along.
Hello and good evening tonight. I want to begin tonight by reflecting on our mission statement, the driving force and guidelines that decision-making is made in the district, with the primary focus and a look at what we do and how we do it in Neshaminy. When my friends and people around the community ask me what I do, what we do here at Neshaminy, I often say we build futures. And we build futures by empowering our children. That is, we provide the tools and skills needed to be college and career ready in the 21st century. The tools and skills needed come from a solid instructional core, an understanding of the key components of writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. These will provide the foundation on which our children's futures are, in fact, built. Tonight we're going to take a look and use the Nearpod platform as a vehicle to further investigate Wicker, Neshaminy's instructional core, and its key components of writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading skills. To take us on the next leg of our journey tonight, I would like to introduce Mrs. Amy Heilig, Ms. Laura Schizzarini, and Mr. Adam Lawrence, who are valued members of the Neshaminy family and valued assets to the Pequessing family.
Hi, thanks for coming. And thanks for being prepared. We teacher folk love a prepared group of people. I'm giving the perspective of the teacher for Nearpod. Basically, in the past, teachers would have multiple tabs up and open on their computers filled with video clips, assessments, images, passages, so much more, clicking in between for one lesson. It was time-consuming and clunky. Nearpod allows for a streamlined, cohesive platform where all components are housed and easy to navigate. And I'm about to introduce our friendly little people that came with us that were kind enough to join us. And they're going to come give you a little elbow pump and loom over you as they guide you through this Nearpod presentation. First one, we have Nick Romanowski. Head on over. Kara McMullen. Adelia Hunter. Jack Kitchen. Jack, you're going to go with Mr. Jones. You're the winner. Zach Barnashov, Sam Lugo, Danny Powell, and Leonard Drack.
So after going to nearpod.com, the students will help you enter the join code so that you can join the presentation, view it as a student, and they'll help you navigate along the way.
Thanks.
Students, give us a thumbs up when we have everybody on the correct Nearpod presentation.
All right, so this is a live lesson, so you can't move until I move, okay? All right, so we're taking a look at Wicker at Pequessing. So we're using Nearpod to take a look at how we use Wicker. All right, so this, as you can see, shows up on your device as well. It gives us a look at Neshaminy's instructional course, so those different activities we bring into the classroom every day, and how we have a now common language to discuss them.
You will be tested on this information, so you better pay attention.
All right, you're going to match up the activity with the Wicker element. So just to take a look at student view.
Takes forever. Fun fact time. Teachers can create their own lessons, collaborate with colleagues across the district or the world.
Are you going to explain? Sure. Are you going to do it?
Okay, so now that you participated in a matching exercise to introduce and to kind of reinforce the elements of Wicker, the matching pairs activity and the results are broadcast for the teacher's dashboard, and the teacher can choose whether or not the students' names are or are not hidden, and the results of the quick tutorial or the quick information gathering of the content knowledge the students have at the beginning of the lesson is obtained on display, and we can work from here to join into the rest of the instructional components and the other activities therein.
All right, we're going to take a more in-depth look at the components of Wicker. So first things first, writing. So these are activities we perform in the classroom every single day. We all write in our lives, and it's a lifelong skill we need to remember. So some examples you might see in Pequesing classrooms were text-dependent analysis, quick writes, peer editing, or even some more authentic forms of writing. For example, the one we're going to show next. So this is a video. In Nearpod, I have the choice of being able to play this on all devices, so you could watch the video kind of at your own pace and pause if needed, or I can play it on the main device. For this video, I'm going to play it on the main device. We'll go back and forth during the lesson. All right, this is a look at what a student would have in the classroom. So it's a writing activity. You are analyzing the quote, and we can see your responses.
So students are presented with the question prompt, and the dashboard for the teacher appears up front of the building, or front of the room rather, which will populate the answers as the students submit their response.
Do this fun fact. Fun fact. Teachers have complete control over student devices. Management too. Woo!
All right, so as a teacher, you can see the student responses. It's a really great way to check in, to see what they're thinking and understand what each individual student is thinking. And then also if you see something that you really like, right, you can share it, and it then shows up on all devices so that you can share out something that you think is a really strong answer and discuss it, and work together to then understand the idea overall.
Another comment on the management. If somebody logs off, If a child logs off, we know as a teacher, it shows us immediately, and we are in absolute control of a one-to-one device. We see where they are. We can either put it on student-driven, or that we can have it on our view. It's wonderful. And I'm back. Okay, inquiry is, I don't have my glasses on, so you're going to have to read by yourselves. These are the components that how we use inquiry at Pequessing Middle School and the Neshaminy School District. Lots of different options. You're about to get a quiz after a slight video on inquiry. I'm going to have to explain. This is Mr. Norton's 5th grade math class. He's teaching a math lesson. He's going through it using inquiry. You're about to get this same question right on that device in front of you. So you don't need to listen to what he's saying, but this is the idea of how we can control the video. Right now, it is on our device right here. It is not on yours. But we have the option of you playing it personally at your own speed, which is another option that Nearpod allows.
In addition, there are note-taking features that allow the students to take notes as the presentation progresses. So anytime they see something they need to take note of, they can do so as the lesson progresses.
Those notes are then saved directly into their Google Drive if they choose. All right, math quiz time.
So as students work, we can see the answers populate and see how or check for level of understanding and comprehension.
Because this is a 5th grade classroom, let's see who's smarter than a 5th grader.
So depending on the nature of the lesson at hand, we can make this a timed exercise or leave it open-ended. And this did have a time element associated with it, which we have exhausted. So here we've selected a student who had a properly correct answer and properly stepped process to arrive at an answer that we can then broadcast to the class so that everybody has the same level of understanding for the future and as we progress through the math lesson.
Turn it on. Hello.
So the next element of our Wicker instructional core is collaboration. The elements of collaboration include peer editing, kinesthetic activities, communication as a whole. Again, another way that we're trying to create a universal language and making sure we are universally hitting all elements in our instructional core education here at Neshaminy. So this video we're going to play on all devices, and you'll see the video populate on the device in front of you. And while we can either play it in the front of the room as well, or we can allow the students to play it on their own device at their own speed. So you'll actually hear some of the video going on. As you hit play, you'll see the video playing at different intervals for the individual user, and they can play, fast forward, rewind as needed. And all that may create a little bit of confusion in terms of all the videos playing at the same time. It really speaks to the individual user and allows them to use the video as powerfully as possible for them. As you view the classroom setting and this collaboration activity, you'll notice there was some alternative seating arrangements or flex seating that was purchased and established through a grant by Mrs. Richardson in the 6th grade science class. And at this time, Amy Howard would like to offer another fun fact.
Fun fact number 5. Or 6. Or 3. Nearpod creates a report of students' work for teachers.
All right, so this is a collaborative board, so it allows the class to post different ideas. So students can all post an idea. They can post more than one. They can see what other people are posting. They can like them. They can post pictures. There is also a teacher option for different ideas to be approved, right? So before things are posted, the teacher has the option to approve them, just to make sure that they're all appropriate if needed. But we trust you guys to be appropriate, so we're gonna let it go.
The collaborative board is also a formative assessment tool. If we see that no one has the right answer, we can readjust and move on from there. So it's another asset to a teacher.
All right, the next aspect of the Wicker Instructional Core is organization. So this is a lifelong skill that we try to teach our students. We try to teach them a variety of different methods to be organized, whether it's taking organized notes, keeping an organized binder, or really just keeping track of their events and their homework. So this is a really important skill that we try to teach all of our students. So this is actually an embedded PowerPoint. So Nearpod has a great feature where you can actually directly embed PowerPoints that have already been created, and then the student can click through at their own pace as needed. So it allows you to use existing PowerPoints or existing content. So this is a student sample of marking the text strategies, as well as some notes. And these are actually Zach's notes. So good job, Zach. He took some great notes.
There's a lot of moms and dads out there.
Careful.
All right, go.
So one of the ways, as Mrs. Holland referred to earlier, that this became such an easy adoption for teachers is because a lot of the content they already had could be easily pulled into this tool or this resource and didn't have to completely reinvent lesson plans and content they'd already worked so hard on. So it has been an easy shift and transition for this teaching tool.
All right, so this is a virtual reality tour. This is the Sahara Desert. As we learned about West Africa, this was a really cool thing. And you can play with it as needed.
Ready? I use this in my social studies class often. The children have gone to the pyramids of Giza. They've been to they're going to Greece soon. They've been all over. They've been in lots of monuments and sites up and down the Nile River, which is really cool, especially Mr. Lawrence wants to take them someplace.
No one's keeping us out of Italy.
Okay, we're at our last letter of the acronym for reading. We use this every day. This is one of the most important, if not the number one. You're about to join us on our next activity. If you look at this video, this video is actually they're videotaping somebody in a lesson on Nearpod. That's called a scatter, and you have to drag the letters into the correct location to make it work. Will not pass you on until you have it all right. Yes. Are we at the end?
Almost.
Yeah. We have a time to climb. The fun one. We have a couple things. So now it's a poll. This is one of our favorites as teacher people because we can get the climate of where our students are at all times. And you're going to choose which wicker aspect you like the most. I can't read that.
Depending on the content, obviously this is a sample question, but depending on the content or the nature of the question, we can get students as well as the teacher getting a visual of the responses and how this will affect either understanding or the direction the lesson goes based upon the lesson at hand.
This is the best one. Get ready. Do you want to explain?
Yes. Or you want to explain? All right, so this time to climb is a review activity. It's where students get to pick their own character. That's their favorite part. And we're in space, so they get little space helmets. And then they get to compete against their classmates to choose the correct answers as a review, but also they try to climb up a mountain. That's it.
So this is really proven to be a phenomenal resource, one that will stand the test of time. It's not a flash in the pan. Technology is really, really well used, and we just thank the district and the board for providing these resources, because these are just instrumental and really empowering. And as we say, an engaged classroom starts with an empowered teacher. And that's what we have here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for playing along with us and humoring us. I just want to say I'm very proud of our Pequessing students and our teachers. I really, really do appreciate it. Mr. Powell, would you take the stand for us for our closing remarks?
I would like to thank our presenters this evening, as well as the school board and administration, for allocating the resources necessary to support this educational initiative. Dr. McGee, Ms. Burkholder, and Mr. Meehan championed to provide the necessary professional development, ensuring that our teachers had a successful start with the Nearpod platform. Together, K through 12, we're integrating and energizing student-to-student and student-to-teacher learning experience delivered through our one-to-one devices. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for our presenters? Phenomenal, great opportunity for the board to see this in action. Anybody with a question?
I definitely. I can't tell you how impressed I was by my helper there, Sam, it was fantastic and really showed me how to go through it. But what she showed me when she was doing it, though, was the enthusiasm that she had for the platform, and how she explained to me how she uses it every day, and how she does her work with it and does her notes with it. I mean, just seeing that level of engagement, that she felt how crucial that was to what she was getting out of the program was just fantastic. And thank you so much. You were great, and I think you should be a teacher. You were fantastic.
All right. If I'm not mistaken, Nearpod, we started with our elementary teachers, right? Moved up to our middle school, and just recently our high school faculty. Well received at all levels. You can see how it was explained to you this evening. Things that teachers are already using are able to be incorporated into this platform, but yet then activated in a much more student-engaged way. And so this was a great demonstration. I think the fact that sometimes it was hard to hear you talking at that microphone was just because it was very engaging here for us to hear about. I was going to say the same thing. I thought Jack Kitchen could be a teacher. I mean, he was a strong player, an advocate for this. He was telling us the number of teachers who are regular users, speaking about how this could be used in conjunction and posted on our Canvas platform, which our board members saw another group present on Canvas as a learning management system. I'm missing.
Sounds like it.
Oh, Jack Kitchen?
Yeah, Jack.
Oh, well,
Do we need to put him on
no, we should hire him. We should hire him. We do have certificates for our students who came this evening, just so that you have a little remembrance of tonight. We really thank you for coming out. I asked Jack how he was selected. He said, I think our teachers just recommended us, but they definitely recommended some strong players out of Pequessing. I'm sure there's plenty others that you represent who are really strong students doing good work for your teachers, but we thank the Pequessing crew, teachers, administrators. Thank you so much for coming out. It's really important for the board to see this. Great job. Come on up, stay up. We'll take a picture of you, and that'll be posted on our Facebook. Oh, use it. Lenore? Use it next year. Yeah, it's fun. Kids get into it. It's the whole job. Thank you. We're only doing this today, all right? They're doing this all dance. Yeah, my kids are age. Samantha, Luke. Zachary? Garnishaw? Tina's secret weapon.
All righty, that will bring us to our first public comment period. Are there any signups? There's no signups. Is there anyone that would wish to speak? Please approach the podium. Just state your name, occupation, area in which you live. You have 3 minutes, and please no personal attacks.
Susie Drake, Neshaminy Federation of Teachers, high school English teacher. Fun fact, this originated Nearpod with the Ed Foundation, a grant from the English department probably 5 years ago, we're not sure. And it's certainly evolved, so it's nice to see that something that started in the Ed Foundation was taken over by the district. And it is used. I did my first one, not too long ago. The kids enjoyed it. So, thank you.
That brings us to, where are we at here? Section 2. Items for approval at the next public meeting. 201, revised 2019-20 school calendar with 2020 graduation date. 202, Sunday facility usage. 203, budget transfers. 204, bids. 205, overnight trips. 206, out-of-district placements. 207, donation. 208, first reading of policy 120 and 214.1. That brings us to section 3, committee reports.
Can I add to this section a couple of things?
Yes, go right ahead.
First of all, I just want to point out to the board that the revised calendar, just as recently as last Thursday, was put forward because of no snow days and an opportunity for us to adjust the very last week of school so that we could get two important professional development days in. But given today's occurrence and just the uncertainty with respect to what may be down the line, my guess is that by the time we come to our action meeting, we may remove the calendar item and just wait till April to make a decision. So that's okay. We'll just remove it for the action meeting. I just wanted to alert you to that fact. The other thing I wanted to alert the board to is that there's a couple other things that we may, between now and the action meeting, look to add just because of the coronavirus and some of the impact it's having with things that are already part of our policy and procedures. So there's policy related to student absences. And there's also, when it comes to the expectation for students regarding the number of absences, the expectation for documentation, and the implication related to truancy matters. And so the county overall is talking about this issue. We have questions into the state with regard to how we can manage some of that. And my guess is that we may have a resolution asking for you to provide some flexibility with those policies in relation specifically to the coronavirus. So that's something that's down the pike. Also, similarly, in a similar vein, we're asking the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, who supports our policy development, if they have any recommendations related to policy that may be able to speak to boards holding virtual meetings. We have a policy that speaks to individual members who can telephone or teleconference into a meeting, but for the entire board to function remotely, if that's something that becomes a need, and really trying just to get ahead of that, we're asking for them to support us in the development of some kind of policy if that's possible. So that may be something, too, that you'll see at the next meeting for the board to take a look at. Right now, I think it's a newer thought from them. The first reaction was that sounded that was new, that they didn't have anything immediate for us, but we're waiting to hear back a little bit more from them on that front. So those were some matters that are impacted just because of the state of affairs with regard to some of the health concerns today, and so that may change the agenda a little bit with respect to some of these items. I do have one other, and I was going to ask Mr. Meehan to talk to the board just because there's a first reading of policy, and there's a policy there at section 2.08 related to pupils and class rank, and there's been a lot of work that's been done on that front. I just wanted Mr. Meehan to give a synopsis so that people are aware that that's on the agenda for the next action meeting.
Good evening. First, I want to just thank the Ed Development Committee, the Policy Committee, on their work in reviewing the impact of class rank over the past 2 years. I'd like to personally thank Dr. McGee for his time in the Ed Development Committee and Policy Committee, and then also holding 3 different parent informational evenings this past fall for the rising 8th grade students and the information about the elimination of class rank, which is Policy 214.1. The elimination will begin starting with the graduating class of 2024, which is the rising 8th graders currently. Class rank will still be calculated behind the scenes. We're not totally removing it. Class rank elimination has been recommended by the school administration, district administration, for several factors. Social and emotional factors relating to GPA, the stress that it's creating on our individual students in that competitive field of trying to get their GPA up. The factors that the Neshaminy High School has offered different learning pathways to graduation, making the GPA a little bit unreliable as far as from student to student. And then university and colleges are simply not weighting their acceptance process as heavy as it did in the past. And then last but not least, we're playing catch up a little bit with some of our neighboring schools. 8 out of the 13 that were pooled have eliminated class rank. So again, a lot of hard work from a lot of individuals, 2 different committees bouncing back and forth over the past 2 years. A lot of thought and a lot of hard work went into this. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mann. That's all I have to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Brings us to committee reports. Business operations, Mrs. Hollenbach.
Our next business operations meeting is March 31st, 6:30 in this room. Everybody is welcome to attend. We will be discussing the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Educational development, Ms. Boyle.
The next meeting of the Educational Development meeting is going to be on April 21st. That's in this room, 6:30, and all are welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Brings us to, why don't you just do policy since you're right up there.
And the next policy committee meeting will be May 14th, also in this room, and all are welcome to attend.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan's absent this evening. Facilities and planning will take place on March 25th at Fertibar Elementary School Library, 6:30. All are welcome. The agenda will be posted before the meeting, and that will be viewable on board docs. Representative reports, the IU board, Mr. Cirillo, please.
Good evening. Just want to bring to people's attention the Bucks County Intermediate Unit is holding an Employability Expo. It is designed exclusively for the Bucks County IU students. The attendees get to hear an opening speaker, go through 3 mock job interviews, attend 2 breakout sessions of their choice on topics like professionalism, workplace etiquette, or resume writing. The IU is looking for business professionals with basic interview knowledge and experience to meet individually with up to 8 students. You'll conduct a very basic general discussion job interview so that the student can practice their social skills and gain valuable employment experience while gaining confidence and knowledge. Personnel from all job fields and industries are welcome. The date of this is going to be Tuesday, April 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Bucks County Intermediate Unit at 705 North Shady Retreat Road in Doylestown. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer, if you have any questions regarding the expo itself, please contact Mr. James Lill at the IU.
Thank you, Mr. Cirillo. Neshaminy Educational Foundation, Ms. Bowman, please.
Yes, the Neshaminy Education Foundation met yesterday, March 9th at Maple Point. We discussed plans for the upcoming Harlem Wizards game, which will be held at Neshaminy High School on Saturday, April 18th. Tickets are available online at neshaminy.org/wizards. Restaurant gift basket raffle is underway. Chances are $5 each or $3 for $10 for $10 and can be purchased at any school main office. The drawing will be held Friday, May 22nd. The Neshaminy Education Foundation is looking for a volunteer board member to take over as treasurer starting this June. Please see any NEF member for information if you're interested. The next scheduled board meeting will be held Monday, April 13th at 4:30 here at the CNI conference room. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. I understand you're also going to give our technical school update?
Yes. Okay, so the Bucks County Technical High School Joint Board met on February 24th. It was a brief meeting. Some of the upcoming events that are happening, the Bucks County Technical High School is performing Mamma Mia, and that will take place March 19th through March 21st. Also, we will be holding a school board dinner. It's a banquet. They honor all the school board members. It's a big deal, tons of food, lots of fun. So if you can make it, that would be great. Also, March 23rd. So our Bucks County Technical High School students performed at districts. 79% of them placed first, second, or third. And they are now gearing up to compete in the state competition at Hershey. And that will take place April 15th through April 17th. And that is it. Our next board meeting, I don't know. The next board meeting will take place on March 23rd following the dinner, the banquet dinner. Yep.
That brings us to the PSBA. That's for me. Needless to say, it's been coronavirus all day long for the last 2 weeks. PSBA is trying to help school districts in navigating, which may or may not turn out to be something that's very impactful, not only from an operational point of view, but from our ability to deliver the education that our students require. As Mr. Jones explained earlier in his report of where we are with the district, we're following very closely with the Bucks County Department of Health. Mr. Jones and his staff are meeting now daily on this subject, and beyond that, there's really nothing else at this time that's pressing. And it's things we hope it doesn't, but we're going to prepare for the worst. So I think that's just the best way to handle it. That brings us to our second period of public comment. Is there anyone for public comment? Yeah, sure. Approach the podium, please. Just give us your name, your occupation, area in which you live. You have 3 minutes, and please no personal attacks.
I'm Amy Locasow. I'm a bus driver. I'm also the vice president of NESPA. It's been a couple of employees have come to me who have immune compromised conditions, and with the virus, I'm concerned about policy towards them. Obviously, if it becomes much more serious in the school district, these people might have to leave work for the health safety. I really wanted you to just be concerned about that and have a policy that really doesn't take drastic measures on employees who have health conditions. And that's my concern. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, do we have any future topics from anyone? Never do. Coronavirus, we said. Is there any board comment this evening from anyone?
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
I just wanted a couple quick points here. First of all, and as usual, our students have already left and our staff, but the Nearpod presentation, I think what I enjoy the most about, excuse me, about that is that I was present on this board when we first started discussing bringing in the iPad program and then the Chromebooks and expanding the one-on-one programs. And I for one, as a board member that I gave was just given the green light to that. It's just thrilling to see it has grown through the district and that the kids have really, not just the kids, but the staff have taken to it. Because quite honestly, when we started, there was a lot of resistance from staff. It was new, it was funny, just give me my textbook and my chalkboard. And I get that. I don't like change either. But that it has been embraced. And to see, like my helper Nicholas, I mean, he was bouncing around here while I'm still trying to figure out what are we doing here tonight, It just amazes me. And I just wanted to thank Pequessing and the staff, students for coming by and giving us that demo. Greatly appreciated. The other thing brings me to a quick, brief comment on gym night. That the blue team won, but more importantly, that the blue team won. More importantly, that everybody has come together. That there was the division of the colors. Everybody competes, and then the fact that we all come together again as a community, and that we pulled it off. I shouldn't say we. That the high school and our staff, and the students themselves, the teams, the captains, they all pulled it off. It was. And I want to thank Mr. Stanley for keeping us abreast on social media, and frankly, a lot of the parents, of course, proud of their competitive students sharing it on social media. So those of us that couldn't be there in person were able to share in the fun. And the last thing I do want to make brief: this coronavirus has definitely put a wrench in our monkey here in the district in a lot of ways, and I want to thank the staff, administration, who've gone above and beyond to try and mitigate the upset to the district. We had several class trips that needed tweaking to get past that. Just cleaning through the high school with the maintenance staff, custodial staff. Everyone did a fantastic job pulling together. And I want to thank everybody and know it is greatly appreciated. And that is that.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else? All right, just to finish up, once again, Mr. Jones's comments in the beginning of the meeting related to the response from our staff, how hard they worked in what we termed aggressively cleaning the high school. I understand some workers were there to 2 o'clock in the morning and came back early the next morning around 7:30. So we appreciate the effort put in by all and the great job done to help the district and its students deal with this situation. Again, to our Pequessing students and our Pequessing staff, John pretty much summed it all up. It's just great to see how that went from idea to implementation to, just fruition. So it was just fantastic. And I couldn't say enough about Sam, who was helping me. She was just fantastic. Her energy was just unbelievable. I mean, I really do think she should be a teacher, but she says she wants to be go into business. So, and that's great too. So good for Sam. Other than that, gym night, that's covered. Just everybody stay safe, be good, help your neighbors if they need help, and hopefully we'll all get through this unscathed. So thank you all for coming out. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion seconded by Mrs. Bowman. All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.